This video I'm going to demonstrate how to mock up a file browser using just the features in Blend without resorting to code. First thing we're going to do is set up a sample data source to reflect what a typical directory structure would look like. Let's call this files sample data source. And the top level collection we will call directories. And every directory has a name. And you'll notice as I create different collections, I try to keep the property names constant across those so that I can use the same data templates for multiple collections. So files, again, a file has a name, it has a size, a date, and I know there's lots of different kinds of dates, but that's good enough for this exercise, and it has a type. Now let's actually edit the data to make this a more meaningful exercise. So we'll start with 10 directories. We'll make sure there's only one word names for the directories, just to distinguish them from the files. Now you'll notice when I go in to edit the sample data, I actually have a whole bunch more formats available to me that are very useful, and I can show you later how to create those. And file name, let's make the file name 2 words. And size, again, I have a whole bunch of formats that make it very easy to mock up all sorts of different kinds of data. Type, let's see, where is my type, item type? That will increase the number here. Let's go up to say 20 files. So now we have our sample data. And what we're going to do is, first thing is we'll take a directory and we will throw it onto our workspace, the name of the directory. And what you see is we get a list of directories right here. Then what we're going to want is when we click on one of these directories, we're going to populate another list box with a list of files. So now what I need is a details section so that when I click on a directory, it populates a section with details about that directory. So what I'll do is I'll take the name of the directory. Well, I have to remember first to go into details mode, so I click on the details option. I drag name and I drop it onto the background, and what it has now done is it has created a grid for me. So now what I want to do is within that section, I want to see a list of the files that are associated with that selected directory. So I'm going to take a name of a file and I drop it within that grid, and I now get a list box. And I can actually get rid of the name of the directory at that point. That was just useful for getting the data bindings correctly. I'm going to choose auto size fill, so my list box now fills that entire region. You can see that as I select list box items, in the left-hand list of directories, the list of, we'll call these files, changes over on the right. So I'm going to go to the top level grid, and I'm going to demarcate the bottom section into another row. And we're going to split the columns into two, so the left-hand side will be for the directories and the right-hand side will be for the files. And I can take that outer grid and I can say auto size to fill. And likewise with my lists box, I can auto size that to fill. So I go into details mode. I'm going to select date, name, size, and type. And I drag these down into the bottom section. It creates a new grid, so let's change the names just to make our life a little bit easier. So the list box on the left, let's call this the directories list box. And the one on the right is going to be the files list box. And down below, we will call that the details. Okay, so now we have file details down at the bottom, and we can fix how the items within that are laid out later on. Again, using the default settings was very helpful just to get everything laid out initially. The right-hand list and the bottom details section are not populated, and I can talk about that later. So as I click on directories, it shows me a list of files. As I click on a file, it fills in data about that particular file. Let's add one more field to one more property to the files, and let's call this thumbnail. And what this is going to be an image that's associated with each file. And I'm just going to choose the built-in image type. So now I'm going to go down to my details section, and I'm going to add a image here that reflects the thumbnail. So I just drag the thumbnail into here. Look, so as I select items, the thumbnail changes. We're going to change the data template or item template for the items in this list box. And the easiest way to do that is to right click, say edit additional items, edit generated item, which is the same as the item template, and say edit current. The way I'm going to do that is go back to my data pane and just grab the thumbnail and drop it into that stack panel, and now you'll see there's a name and an image. I don't like the order, so I'll put the image on top of the thumbnail. And we come out. Now what I don't like about this is all these items are just listed vertically. What I'm going to do is I'm going to override that. So I'm going to edit additional templates for the list box. Now remember, I'm scoped back out to the top of my application. I'm going to say edit layout of items, which is called the items panel. I'm going to say create empty, and when I do this, it's just going to give me the default layout that most list box have. And really what I want is I want these to wrap. So I'm going to call this a wrapping items panel. And I can get rid of template because that's a little redundant. So what I can do instead is I can just delete the stack panel, and I go to my asset panel, and I'm going to look for a wrap panel, and I will double click to add that in. And let's make sure that it doesn't have any funky size settings on it. Yeah, everything looks fine. So come back out to the top level of my application. So what we do is we select the list box, we open up the advanced layout panel, and we see horizontal scroll bar visibility. We're going to set that to disabled, and when we do that, it only uses the vertical scroll bar and it will wrap all of these items. So as I selected different directories, the list of files changes. Select a file, and the details in the bottom section update. So to do that, I'm going to use a grid splitter and a grid splitter, and I'm just going to double click on this, and it's going to give me a grid splitter over here in the upper left hand corner. Instead, I'm going to drag that and place it in between, and let's make sure it can stretch vertically. And it looks like it has a default height set to 100, and we will turn that off so that it stretches the entire way. So there's my grid splitter. You can change the visuals later if you want to. And there you have it.